Hi, I'm Ken Wu with the Endangered Ecosystems Alliance. Right now, here in Montreal, the greatest opportunity in history to avert the mass extinction and climate crises is underway. 195 countries will converge at the UN Biodiversity Conference to negotiate new international protected areas targets and policies. Scientists warn that 1 million species may go extinct over the next few decades, and also that there's no way to stay within our 1.5-degree climate target unless we sequester vast amounts of carbon while emissions are reduced. But there's good news. The best carbon capture and sequestration device around is called a tree. It's called nature. By protecting and then restoring forests, grasslands, and wetlands, we can grow our capacity to draw down vast amounts of atmospheric carbon while sustaining biodiversity. Canada is globally positioned as one of the most significant countries for nature-based solutions, as we're the largest country on Earth with some of the most spectacular and expansive native ecosystems, from temperate rainforests to semi-arid grasslands, from southern deciduous forests to northern conifer forests, from diverse freshwater to marine ecosystems. New research shows that being in nature is also key for human health, counteracting high blood pressure, heart disease, ADHD, chronic inflammation, and many other ailments. Incredibly, research also shows that trees and plants emit compounds called phytoncides that, when we breathe them in, boost our immune systems to remove virus and cancer-infected cells. Doctors are even beginning to prescribe time in nature. Economically, studies show that protected areas often attract and support much more diverse, resilient, and prosperous economies than industrial resource industries when factoring in tourism, recreation, real estate values, skilled labor that relocates near protected areas, and the ecosystem services like flood and erosion control, clean water, and natural sewage treatment that also support businesses. The Canadian government has committed to protecting 25% by 2025 and 30% by 2030 of the land and marine areas across the country. Scientists say that 50% by 2030 should be safeguarded to best avert the climate crisis. Currently, just 12% of Canada's land area is protected, and 14% of our oceans have some protection. The federal government has committed some significant funding to expand protected areas, $3.3 billion over 5 years. But several challenges remain. First and foremost, the feds need to play hardball to get the provinces on board to at least commit to the national protected areas targets, as right now, most protection is happening up north in the territories, while most endangered ecosystems and land in general is down south in the provinces. The provinces must also provide funding to purchase and protect private lands and to help First Nations capacity, stewardship, and sustainable economic development linked to new indigenous protected areas, known as conservation financing, which is the real game changer here. All ecosystems need protection targets too. Without ecosystem-based targets, governments will continue to largely skirt around the areas most coveted by industry. That is, protection will continue to be heavily skewed towards the Arctic and alpine tundra, and subarctic and subalpine landscapes with muskeg and small trees, in order to maximize the number of hectares protected, but with minimal disruption to industrial resource extraction interests. These are native ecosystems that deserve protection, but the development pressure that they face per hectare is generally far lower than in ecosystems in southern Canada and in the valley bottoms in the mountainous west, areas where the vast majority of people and industry are, and by no coincidence, where the vast majority of endangered species are too. The grasslands, deciduous forests, mixed forests, and productive lowland old-growth rainforests in southern Canada are being destroyed the fastest and most intensively by agricultural conversion, suburban sprawl, or industrial logging. In general, we've got to prioritize their protection at this critical late stage in the environmental crisis happening right now in real time. It's like if your goal is to counter Russian military aggression, sending weapons and money to Iceland or Uruguay won't work. It's in the Ukraine where the battle is. Ultimately, a National Endangered Ecosystems Act, where science determines protection targets for every ecosystem, will be needed to quickly scale up an ecological protected areas system. Lastly, the provinces must refrain from creative accounting by including tenuous conservation regulations that lack the standards or the permanency of real protected areas when they talk about how much is protected. If environmentalists can show how our agenda is vital for the average person's daily proximate needs, for our health and for the economy, And if the environmental movement learns to organize beyond its own echo chamber of other environmentalists, to also engage businesses, unions, diverse faith groups, outdoor recreation groups, to undertake multicultural outreach, and to support First Nations protected areas with the critical resources, then we'll have a revolution that can ensure that life on this magnificent, truly special planet flourishes for the long run for the benefit of all. Please speak up and support the Endangered Ecosystems Alliance at endangeredecosystemsalliance.org.